Tobias Vokuhl and two of his teenage children are training for a 220-kilometer mountain bike trek around the Annapurna circuit in the Himalayas of central Nepal. Their goal is to raise just over £30,000 to help pay for a safe house complex that Tobias is building for survivors of child sex trafficking in a valley near Kathmandu. Human trafficking is a problem in many countries, but it's pronounced in Nepal, where a fifth of the population lives below the poverty line. And a porous border with India gives traffickers plenty of opportunities to exploit poor mountain communities that rely on subsistence farming to survive. Hello, I'm Rod Sweet, editor of Global Construction Review. I recently caught up with Tobias to learn about his project and fundraiser, but first, let me introduce him. A chartered construction manager, he completed a carpentry apprenticeship in his native Germany before getting a master's in construction project management from Oxford Brookes University in the UK. He worked for several years as contracts manager for Beard Construction, becoming a member of the Chartered Institute of Building, and then moved with his family to Nepal in 2017. There, he's put his skills to good use for charities, including designing and building a leprosy ward in Pokhara and advising on healthcare infrastructure development for the charity International Nepal Fellowship. Now, he's project director for Vancouver-based charity Ally Global Foundation. It teamed up with a local NGO to build its first safe home campus with 7 residential units for 140 rescued children on a 5-acre site purchased in Nagarkot in the Kathmandu Valley. With first-hand experience of getting things built in Nepal, Tobias has spent the last year preparing the site and developing the campus's detailed design with local consultants and Texas-based firm Schwartz Hansen Architects. As if all that were not enough, Tobias has also introduced an element of sustainability to the project, which is novel for Nepal. He wants to build the campus's guardhouse using hand-pressed, cement-stabilised earth blocks made from excess soil from the site to cut the amount of emissions and waste generated. That's what he's raising the money for, to pay for equipment, training, and hiring locals to make the blocks and build with them. When we spoke, I asked Tobias to set out the context of the problem in Nepal.
Human trafficking. Nepal is one of those South Asian countries where, given the topography and the status of industrialization and development, there are very few job opportunities for mountain communities and hillside communities. And the population is very, very dependent on income from overseas, on remittance, and sadly, there is a bit of history to people not going to India and other places for genuine and healthy work, but also for people looking, specifically visiting mountain communities and luring people into, unfortunately, the brothels of Kolkata or Delhi and other unsavory places where people then find themselves trapped without their own paperwork. And there are, unfortunately, villages in Nepal that traditionally have been bereft of young girls in particular.
Then I asked him why safe homes in particular were needed.
Sometimes returning to their home communities is not the best solution for them, maybe because they continue to be at risk, or because they need to catch up on education. There needs to be healing, trauma, counseling, etc., etc. And in those situations, dedicated facilities are a good solution and are the best solution.
Tell us about this project, what you're building, and how it will help Ally do its job better.
This project in particular is designed to move the NGO away from rented accommodation. Already this year, they've had to abandon their school facilities since the landlords wanted to hike up rent by 400%. And that just wasn't sustainable for them. They're currently in temporary school accommodation, temporary classrooms, in the hope that this project moves ahead speedily, and their proper school facilities are established. So it's quite aspirational for Nepal. It's a large scale project, but I think both the Canadian funders and the NGO were very, very happy with the plot that they found for it. And on a good day, you can see the Himalayas, the snow-capped mountains in one direction, and you look down into the Kathmandu Valley in the other direction. So it's a lovely hillside location, which should serve their purpose as well.
And what skills do you, as a chartered construction professional, bring to it?
All my contractor experience really helped me with representing the NGO with local contractors. Just in this sort of South Asian context, a lot of the things that one might expect from a UK contractor, you cannot rely on. You can't just have monthly client team meetings and expect everything to happen in between. You definitely need to have weekly meetings, and you need to have a client representative on site as well. And actually all the program, all the scheduling and sample lists and all the control mechanisms needs to be very, very involved. And it's much more like a contracts manager role, really, delivering a project here for the client than just sort of a consultant type of role. So I'm actually very grateful for my contractor experience, because it served me really well here and allowed me to ask the right questions of contractors locally.
Where are you at the moment with the project?
The exciting news is, as of today and tomorrow, we are actually putting the tender notice out. So for the first phase. Just earlier this morning, I spent 4 hours just incorporating some lawyer comments into the final wording for the bid documents. So it's very exciting, even as I speak to you, to know that tomorrow that notice will go out, and we'll see which contractors apply to work with us and for us, and to actually move this into the delivery phase for 7 safe homes, a guardhouse, a generator house, and 160,000 litre header tank up the hill. So, yeah.
And tell us about your goals with the sustainable building element.
When I realized how much soil we actually needed to excavate from this hillside location to create the plateaus for the different phases, I thought, rather than driving all of this away and creating landfill somewhere, there might be technologies out there where the soil and the spoil can actually be utilized. And I'd heard about an enterprise called Build Up Nepal before, established by a Swedish engineer post 2015 earthquakes, and they've gained a fair bit of recognition recently for their work to promote micro businesses, to promote the pressing of cement-stabilised earth blocks. So cement, sharp sand, local soil in the right mixtures, then get compressed manually, and after 28 days have sufficient strength to form a decent wall material. And the system has now been refined to be really earthquake resistant as well. So it was a bit of a no-brainer, really, to see how I can bring them on board. And we formed a partnership whereby they provide equipment and training, and we engage with the local workforce. We've just employed 3 locals to get involved in this, and then to produce building blocks that can benefit the project as a whole. And today, another good thing that's happening today is that we have our first day of training, of CSEP training, happening on the Nagakot site today.
Tell us about your fundraising goals, and then tell us who's taking part and what it's going to be like and how you're training for it.
So since I introduced some changes to the drawings and I was pushing this, I thought, I should also put my weight behind it in some other way apart from the ideas. And I said, look, I would very much like to fundraise for the introduction, for the equipment that's needed, for the training, and then to incorporate this guardhouse element as well, where we can actually model the use of this technology. And I think that's how learning happens here, isn't it? That you model something, people get used to a new wall system, they realize, hang on, this works and it can be trusted. My two teenage children are actually getting into the mountain biking as well. And so we sat together and we thought, how can we put together an event or something that raises awareness of this and that we can use as a bit of a fundraiser. And that's how we connected a challenging mountain bike route around called the Annapurna Circuit, which hosts annually the highest elevation mountain bike race of the world called Yakatak. And so we took inspiration from that and said, look, shall we do the Yakatak route? A little bit slower maybe than the professionals, but still riding up to 5,400 meters.
What's the effect of altitude when you're mountain biking?
I have walked that trail before, and I have to say, above 4,500 meters, it's a sort of step-by-step approach, and you get out of breath very quickly. So it's going to be challenging. It's well recommended to put in the practice and not to throw yourself at that sort of altitude without some level of fitness. And with altitude sickness, it's a bit unpredictable. It can happen that one time you're fine at a certain altitude and the next time you might suffer something that then requires you to go back down, but we just have to see how it goes and be prepared.
Tobias and team start their 9-day trek at the end of September. If you'd like to support the twin goal of helping survivors of human trafficking and promoting sustainable construction in Nepal, I've put a link to his fundraising page in the text below. Do like and share this video to help spread the word, and thanks for watching.